Last week Lana and Sophocles, this week KIAWE and Mallow. You know what? I don't say this often, but good job, Sunnymoon.
Pokemon Ranger, I choose you!
What's up, my dear boys and girls, it's your Ranger Boy here, and welcome to a proper late review of the Pokemon Sun and Moon anime. Sorry guys, but I couldn't really do any videos at all last week due to work and a shitload of exams. But no need to worry, because I'm still watching Sun and Moon, and mostly because the last few weeks of Sun and Moon were great for proper development. Even this week's episode with episode 107. Run, KIAWE! Surpass yourself! But before we can talk about this week's adventure, let's have a quick look at last week. So, ratings. What can I say about the story? The thing they are doing in this week's episode and last week's one is that instead of dedicating one entire episode to one character, they instead decide to focus on two characters within one episode. The inevitable problem is that there will be a risk of very uneven amount of screen time, which definitely was the case with the Lana and Sophocles episode. And to my surprise, it was Sophocles who got much more screen time than Lana. I mean, sure, he needs it, but in exchange for having Lana's progress cut short is a rather hefty price. But that wouldn't be a problem as long as Lana's screen time was meaningful, which for the most part wasn't the case. The only meaningful time she had was at the end of the episode, with Popplio evolving and Lana receiving the Primarium Z crystal, which leaves the door wide open for Lana's future story. But the rest of Lana's screen time was just... Remember the first time Ia trained with Lana? It's that, but even more... well, boring. You guys know that I love Lana, but the first training with Ia was just popping each other's balloons. And this time they were also popping each other's balloons, while also splashing water at each other and singing, "Lana, I love you, but why is your training so uneventful?" Unironically, Mallow and Lily, and even Lana herself, questioned whether this was training or not. At least I like the little message of Ia that the sea is mostly calm but can be chaotic sometimes, and as long as you understand the rhythm of the ocean, you're good. But Sun and Moon, next time you show Lana's training, can you make it a little bit more exciting? Like Sophocles, for example, his part was surprisingly good, with him and his charger bug not only overcoming obstacles, which in the end also led to an evolution, but also him showing some growth by not depending too much on Togedemaru anymore. I have just some issues with his part. First, did we really need the return of those obnoxious side characters from the charger bug race? Really? From a filler? And in all honesty, if we would remove those characters, nothing would change. Sophocles still would enter the cave, he still would battle Pokemon, and his charger bug still would evolve. But instead of the rival being in danger, it would be Sophocles instead. So the evolution still would have happened. Those unnecessary characters contributed nothing to the main plot. And my second nitpick, Sophocles is still scared of the dark. What? Okay. If I remember correctly, in episode 80, they mentioned that Sophocles is no longer scared of the dark anymore, and yet we're here 26 episodes later and he's still scared? That's like Lily still being scared of Pokemon. Like, come on man, we really have to get rid of this trope. I have to give this episode a 7 out of 10, because even though the Sophocles part was pretty enjoyable, the Lana part really dragged it down. What can I say about the focus? We have a sea and we have a valley. Great intensive Pokemon evolution training, which sorta indicates that the episode will be divided, and the great intensive Pokemon evolution training part totally nailed Sophocles but totally misses Lana, so 6 out of 10. Animation. The odd thing here is that not only that there was a scary tiny amount of funny faces in this episode, but also most of the animation highlights actually were in Lana's part. But I gotta point out the charger bug evolution, because that part has been done by Aito Ohashi, aka my favorite animator. Oh my god, this guy did so many awesome animations for Pokemon. But my fanboying for Ohashi aside, like I said, most of the animation highlights actually belong to Lana's part. Ia's new performance with Primarina, Popplio's evolution, done by Ayaka Koide, who seems to be rather new to the Pokemon animation game. And last but certainly not least, the Oceanic Operetta Z move, done by Osamu Murata, who unironically also did Ia's first Z move. But yeah, even though the amount of highlights was rather uneven, it was still great, so a solid 9 out of 10. So this episode scores a 7.33 out of 10, and I would recommend to watch it because even though the screen time was rather uneven, it was overall a good episode. Not great, but solid. So with that out of the way, let's concentrate on this week. So grab some popcorn, grab some cookies, and let's do this. The excellent character progression of the gang continues. Lana is tired from all the training she did overnight. Yes! She trains even off screen. I'm so proud of you. Mallow created several dishes based on Pony Island radishes. Finally! Finally she does the thing she aimed for since episode 18. And KIAWE and Ash are both aiming for Tapu Fini, which means... wait, hold on. No way! They finally do the one thing Kukui hinted in episode 2? They are rivals. Like they're really competitive with each other, including stare downs, a strangely really well animated race, and even a battle. Meanwhile, Mallow, Lily and Sophocles are visiting Hapu because Mallow wants her to taste her new radish menu, which she does, after Lily, Mallow and Sophocles share a long radish with each other. Okay, let's forget about that image and let's concentrate on the boys. Sorry, Sophocles. KIAWE is all like, oh, Tapu Fini, I strive to be stronger. Please bless me with your presence. And Ash is all like, hey, I want to battle you. Oh, vintage Ash. And even though KIAWE doesn't agree with his rude approach at all, at least he agrees that a heated battle between each other might be the key to please the Tapu. Luckily, Mallow doesn't need to please Hapu because she's really impressed by Mallow's new menu. Best Alolan girl. And even offers Hapu her help to farm the radishes. Oh yeah, there was a short training segment with Lana as well, but sadly we can't concentrate on that too much because it's KIAWE time! Finally, a proper rival battle between him and Ash, which was so average? Don't get me wrong, it was not bad, but their goal was to top the Ash vs Gladion battle, and they definitely didn't achieve that. There was not a single moment within the battle where I was like, damn, oh my god. It was just meh. And I guess Tapu Fini agreed with me because it didn't appear because the battle was so good, but mostly because Ash and KIAWE damaged the ruins during their battle. And to make up for that, KIAWE now has to fly all over back to Akala and get a scare from Tapu Lele in a short amount of time, or else Ash and the others will die. Before we enter KIAWE racing against death, we see our lolly taking a nap after a long hard day of training, while Hapu not only enjoys even more of Mallow's cooking, but even teaches her another traditional dish to add to her menu: fluffy radishes. Wait, hold on a minute. Do people in Pony Island have other things besides radishes? After learning a lot from Hapu today, they all return back to the Pokemon Center, and Hapu seems to have enjoyed their presence a lot, since she only calls out her Pokemon to not be lonely anymore. It's not like I called you out to not be lonely or anything, baka. But let's focus on KIAWE versus Death. Or in this case, KIAWE versus Tapu Lele, which equals Death. I will never forgive what you did to Rockruff. And that battle against the deity, against time, and against Death is so much better, because there was some actual feeling of speed and pressure in this battle, because there was actually something at stake. That moment when he used the fire punch to bounce back from the ground was awesome. But here's in my opinion the best moment of the episode. After Lele hit Charizard with her Psybeam, both trainer and Pokemon were about to crash, until KIAWE remembers a similar situation with his grandpa, where he used his bond with his Pokemon to escape from a dangerous situation. And so KIAWE does the exact same move by also using the move Aerial Ace to escape from crashing down the earth. Tapu Lele rewards this display of bravery with her scale, but before they can properly return back to Pony Island, Charizard collapses due to exhaustion, and KIAWE had no other choice but to run the rest of the route by himself, before the time has run out. And luckily, with the spirit of the Alolan Flame in mind, he made it. Fini rewards him with the Flyum Z Crystal, and shortly after, they perform Supersonic Sky Strike. The episode ends with the illusions of KIAWE's grandpa and I guess Hapu's grandpa disappearing into the air. And that's the episode, guys, so without any more hesitation, ratings. What can I say about the story? Just like last week's episode, this one also had 2 character stories in one episode, and also had a very uneven amount of screen time, with KIAWE having most of it, while Mallow only got bits and pieces. But what makes this one much better compared to last week is that both characters actually did relevant things for their progression. Even though Sophocles' arc was quite enjoyable, KIAWE's arc just felt so much more important because there was so much at stake, saving his friends while also trying to overcome 2 guardian deities, and then he had to overcome several tasks to do so, which adds to even more emotional weight to his story. Meanwhile, every screen time Mallow had, in my opinion, was better than Lana's, because her interactions with Hapu had more meaning and developed her in a huge way, with now creating several dishes for her menu thanks to Hapu. Compared to that, Lana's interactions with her master Ia didn't have as much importance behind it, which makes Lana's arc just a little bit less exciting. I also appreciate the fact that Ash and KIAWE finally have some kind of rivalry going. Something which Kukui hinted since episode 2, but since then, the Sun and Moon anime never really used that foreshadowing to the fullest potential. But now it really feels like that this rivalry is going somewhere. But since we are on the topic of rivalry, I will cut off some major points because of the first proper rival battle between Ash and KIAWE. It wasn't bad, but just think about it. Not only that this was their very first proper battle as rivals, but they also had the goal in mind to top the Ash vs Gladion battle. And if you have all that in mind, this battle really felt underwhelming. I honestly expected so much more from this. But besides that, both Mallow and KIAWE's arc were solid, so I will give this a solid 8 out of 10. What can I say about the focus? Run KIAWE, surpass yourself. And just by reading the title, you knew that KIAWE was the main attraction of the episode. Which he was. The title also implies a certain kind of pressure he will have, like some kind of race against time, and he had exactly that. Can't really say much about it. 10 out of 10. Animation. This week's animation can be described with 2 words. Masaki Iwane. He sprayed his greatness all over this episode. The Z move, the Ash vs KIAWE battle, the race between the two, and the battle against Lily, all done by that one man. And you could totally tell that it was his work, because he really likes to use certain outlines in certain situations, and also often uses impact and speed lines during his animation. Again, the only animation which really didn't blow me away was the KIAWE vs Ash battle, because personally it wasn't only underwhelming when it comes to the context, but also when it comes to the animation. But all in all, very good. 9 out of 10. So this episode scores a 9 out of 10. And all in all, a great episode. And I would totally recommend to watch it. Anyway guys, I really hope you enjoyed this rather long and long overdue review. And just like always, see you guys in the comments down below. Bye guys!